Welcome to Political Lunch. It's Monday, July 16. There are just 478 days left until the 2008 presidential election.
It's noon here in New York, 9 a.m. on the West Coast.
I'm Rob.
I'm Will.
This is Political Lunch.
Welcome back to Political Lunch. It's Monday, so we'll spend the day getting caught up on the weekend's political headlines, and we'll look forward to the week in campaign politics.
Topping the list of political topics over the weekend was fundraising yet again. Presidential candidates were required to file their fundraising reports with the FEC by midnight last night. As expected, the Democrats gave a solid beating to the Republicans.
The Democratic Big Three, Clinton, Edwards, and Obama, reported a total of nearly $100 million in cash on hand, and while Obama brought in a record-setting $33 million in the second quarter, his bank balance at $36 million still trails Hillary Clinton, who has $45 million in the bank.
As for the other Democrats, John Edwards has $13 million in the bank, Bill Richardson has $7 million, Chris Dodd comes in with about $6 million, Biden's looking at $3 million, Kucinich has $200,000, and Mike Gravel rounds out the herd with $31,141.47.
The Republican candidates are not nearly as flush. Their war chest is just a third the size of the Democrats, and, to borrow the words of Senator John McCain, they've been spending it like drunken sailors.
Just 4 of the GOP candidates registers over $1 million in the bank. Meanwhile, 7 Democratic candidates do. Giuliani has $18 million, Romney has $12 million, McCain has $3.2 million, Ron Paul has $2.3.
But if you dig a little deeper into those FEC forms, things get much more interesting. Let's look at the candidates' spending habits, for example. Mitt Romney has spent $10 million more than any other candidate, having burned through $32 million so far this year. The spendiest Democrat is Barack Obama, who's disposed of $22 million so far.
John McCain, whose recent woes have been well documented here on The Lunch, has also spent $22 million. The only difference is there's not much left.
Rudy Giuliani, who has been criticized for his love of swanky hotel suites and private jets, has spent $17 million, just on par with Hillary Clinton.
Now, the only thing more interesting than what they've spent is what they owe. If you check out this breakdown of the campaign's debt ratio, Jim Gilmore is finally on top in at least one poll. The former Virginia governor has a staggering 208% debt ratio. That means he also has twice as much debt as he has cash on hand.
Now, this is probably the time to stop and let you know that over the weekend, the former Virginia governor officially ended his campaign for the White House. He's out of the race, but certainly not out of the fundraising business, as he'll have to pay those bills somehow.
Of the big 3 on each side of the ballot, McCain's been taking the most grief for his mounting debt. But it's Mitt Romney who has a 74% debt ratio. That means he owes 3/4 of the cash he has in the bank, compared with 55% for McCain.
Rudy is once again proving to be surprisingly thrifty. He has 0 debt.
And with Rudy as just the one exception, the Democrats are a picture of financial stability. Hillary has just 7% debt, 1/10 of the debt accumulated by Romney, and Obama has just 2%.
Mike Gravel has some issues. He has 200% debt, but considering the guy's only spent $200,000, he should be okay.
One note on the side regarding fundraising, Fred Thompson, who still hasn't officially entered the race, is taking fire for allegedly bending campaign finance rules by still insisting he's not yet made up his mind on whether or not to run.
And as long as he hasn't officially thrown his hat into the ring, he can continue to raise unlimited cash, conduct polls, hire a staff, travel, meet voters, run focus groups, host events, on, and he never has to disclose how much he raises or from whom.
Now, in typically vague campaign finance law language, a candidate must start reporting as soon as they've made up their mind. So in theory, all you have to do is keep insisting that you haven't decided whether or not you're running, and that's a pretty common tactic.
But here's the problem. Last week, Mary Matlin, a longtime GOP consultant who is now on board with the Fred Thompson campaign, told the Washington Post that, quote, he has made up his mind. And one can appreciate that planning the announcement of what's on his mind needs to take place in a deliberative fashion.
Sure, except it's probably illegal, and if he keeps it up, he's looking at some trouble.
But it helps that he has a former FEC chairman on his campaign payroll. He should be able to bail him out in case anyone gets serious about coming after him for this.
That's it for the number crunching at this point. It's kind of a relief to have that done, and we've got another 3 months before we have to play this game again.
So with all this focus on cold, hard cash, what have we missed?
Well, let's take a look. Gilmore is out, and now Mike Huckabee says that he'll quit if he doesn't wind up at least in the 4th place in the Ames poll.
Benchmarks. We like that. Now, Ohio may be moving up its primary date to match Florida, and South Carolina will likely move its primary to match New Hampshire, but only if New Hampshire moves its primary earlier. Who knows?
Meanwhile, the Village Voice has an interesting little piece claiming that it's unlikely Mike Bloomberg will enter the race.
And last week we told you that Mike Gravel hadn't been invited to a presidential forum next month in LA that will focus on gay, lesbian, transgender, and bisexual issues.
Well, it does seem that the organizers have relented, and the former senator does have a remarkably progressive stance on the issue, and he's been added to the program.
Finally, since we know that you are all such fans of these wacky, user-generated viral videos, here's the latest from the team that brought you Obama Girl. Oh, it's on. This is Obama Girl versus Giuliani Girl.
Smackdown!
For president, gotta represent Brooklyn, stand up and raise your cup. From the GOP, ripping Hawaii, take it to the street, shake it to the beat. Giuliani girl, just stop your fussing. At least Obama didn't marry his cousin. Giuliani's hungry for the war. It wraps up in the Colbert Report.
That's it for us. We'll be back here on Wednesday with a look at campaign advertising, who has what on the air and where.
Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you Wednesday. And in the meantime, if you like what you see, share the show with friends.